Hi, my name's Tim. I'm the head coach at HP3. I'm a sports physiotherapist as well as a UK athletics coach in running fitness, a British triathlon coach, level 2, Training Peaks level 2 coach, and a strength and conditioning coach. I've got over 15 years experience working with athletes from beginners through to international competitions and even the Olympics. And in this short video, I'm going to introduce you to our partnership with Wild Ginger Running, where we will help you go from zero all the way through to your first ultramarathon. And to kick off the series of videos, here are some general thoughts prior to even beginning your training plan. But before that, what's my experience with ultramarathons? Well, I've personally been racing for over 30 years, from 1,500 meters on the track all the way through to 100 kilometer and longer trail races and mountain races. I've done sprint triathlons through to Ironman and pretty much everything in between. And I've gone from being at the back of the pack all the way through to even winning 100 kilometer trail races. So I really have walked the walk, as it could be said. And I've coached athletes working towards their first 5K or their first marathon, through to elite runners and triathletes competing on the world stage. And as a full-time working father and husband, I know firsthand the challenges of balancing that family, work and training. And therefore my coaching style reflects this. My company's brand is health and performance. So we look to promote your health just as much as importantly as any performance goals. This first video, I want to explore the concept of why. Initially, why is a powerful word, and really you should start here using, for example, Simon Sinek's golden circle idea. You should clarify what your why is. Or the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." So ask yourself, why do you run? What's your answer? Why have you entered this race? Understanding why you've signed up for this challenge and why you run at all will help you through the training to come and indeed the race itself. So now that you have a clear understanding as to why you're doing this, you can start to think about what it is exactly you've signed up to and where you are right now. So what's the distance? Is it 50 kilometers? Is it 100 kilometers, 100 miles or longer? And how far can you run or walk now? What's the terrain going to be like? Is it hills? Is it road, trail, fell, desert, mountain? And what's your experience of running on these terrains? What's the environment going to be like? Is it going to be hot? Is it cold? Is it going to be quite varied? Will you be running at night? So do you need to practice running with a head torch? What support is going to be in place? Will it be a largely self-supported event, or is there going to be an aid station every few miles? Can you have your own support crew to look after you? Will you have to navigate yourself? Can you actually read a map? Or is it going to be well marked? And unlike events such as most road races, each ultramarathon will have its own unique challenges. So therefore, work out exactly what your goal event is like, and this is going to help you design your training. So whatever the distance is, an ultramarathon is a long way. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but this gives it a unique character, which is quite nice, actually, in that you are not expected to run all of it. Unlike perhaps a road marathon, where you may set yourself that challenge of running the entire marathon. And even the fastest runners will be walking. To give you an example, Race the Stones, the 100 kilometers that I won in 2019, I purposefully walked sections of that race. I still won. So once you realise that walking will be a fair percentage of the event you're doing, you will realise that walking needs to become part of your training. So make your walking purposeful so that you make your slowest speed more efficient and therefore faster. Now, I've trained to be able to walk uphill faster and with less effort than many people will run up a hill. It's always fun walking past people that are running. So therefore, build more walking into your everyday life. Walk to work, walk to the shops, get a dog, go hiking at the weekend. It will all help for your ultramarathon preparation. So now you've got a clear idea of what you've signed up to. We can think about where you are now. Are you starting from a baseline of perhaps a weekly park run and a few midweek runs totaling maybe just 15, 20 miles a week? Or are you comfortable running up to a marathon distance and you're now looking for that next challenge? So what is your zero? And then make a note as to when the race is. So is it just next week? Well, good luck. I'm sure you'll do it, but it's going to be a big mental challenge. Do you have 3 months to prepare for this? 6 months? Is it a year away? Work out how much time you've got to train, and therefore what realistic expectation your fitness could possibly be come race day. And what do you want that to look like? What do you want to achieve? Is it simply to finish with a smile on your face? Are you going to be walking most of it? Or are you going to try and run as much as possible? Do you want to finish with the fastest time you're capable of? So knowing where you are now, how long you've got, and where you want to get to, you can draw that line between these 2 points. And therefore work out, is that a reasonable and realistic expectation? Okay, so now what do you need to work on in order to achieve that goal? What are the processes you need to work on? And set yourself these process goals. For example, do you need to build up your time on feet? Do you need to build up your weekly mileage? And there is an unmistakable association between your weekly mileage and your performance, in that the more miles you're able to safely accumulate, the better you are going to perform. Do you need to build up your skills on technical ground? Is your race going to be very hilly, very mountainous, and therefore you need to build up that leg strength? How mentally strong are you? Now, irrespective of your answer to that question, we all benefit from doing some extra mental training, such as mindfulness exercises. So, wherever you are now and wherever you're wanting to get to, we need to start slowly and build slowly. And it's also a good motto for the event itself: start slowly. You'll never hear anybody say, "Oh, I started that race too slowly." It's always the opposite. Now, while I've mentioned about building your weekly mileage, which is important, it's worth taking maybe more notice of your weekly time on feet, especially if you're doing more hills and technical terrain. For example, a 20-mile long run on the road might take you a few hours, but 20 miles in the mountains could take you all day. So it's worth noting that even just short runs of maybe even 30 minutes will add up. So you're better to do more frequent short runs that build up that time than only a couple of much longer runs per week. Now, what about that long run? It's worth noting that beyond 3 hours, you are increasing your risk of maybe excessive fatigue or even injury. So trying to keep the odd general long runs to around about that 3-hour mark is a good guide. However, you do need to include some longer runs in your overall plan in order to test nutrition, kit, and indeed your mental strength. Just make sure you factor in sufficient rest and recovery afterwards. So as mentioned before, find ways to be active and on your feet regularly throughout the day. I think that's probably one of the most important starting points. So, in conclusion, we've talked about identifying your why, what it is you've exactly signed up for, when is it, how much time have you got to prepare, and how do you need to prepare this approach to building your specific needs into your training. So we will build on these points within the subsequent videos that we're going to be putting out. If you want to ask any questions, you can find me on Instagram at Tim_Pigott, that's Pigott, and of course via Wild Ginger Running. Thanks for watching.